want to give you a brief recap. I use my hands a lot. Did you notice that? I can tell I use my hands. But if I just kind of stand like this, it's like no fun. And then I just kind of look like a little pencil. But I like to use my hands. But I'm going to give you a little recap of what we talked about in the last couple weeks. Week one of In Strong, Start Strong. We basically just wanted to answer the question, why does personal development even matter? Like, why would we even want to do something like this? I do live by a train, so if you hear the train in the background, this is the Christmas Polar Express train. So it will be traveling through. You're probably going to hear it. It's a lot of fun. It's Christmas time. I cued it. I wanted it to happen right now so that it would really give the Christmas vibe of like Polar Express. Tom Hanks is going to come through here and say all aboard in just a moment. But okay, Polar Express, just on going. We did week one, and it was why does personal development even matter? Like, why would we even do this? Why take time? 30 minutes. You're at home. I'm at home. We were together. Why would we do something like this? And the reason why we want to do that is because we believe that personal development matters. And in order to start something well, you have to end something well. So we want to take some time. What did we recognize in week one? Well, we recognize that we need to take responsibility. Responsibility is key. You can't complain about what you tolerate. You have to take responsibility. After responsibility, you have to be honest. We looked at and admired great leaders, and we asked ourselves some internal questions like, hey, those things that we admire, what are we missing? Not in comparison, not in hopes to try to be like exactly, but in hopes that we could admire an attribute and then be honest with ourselves to say, like, yeah, there's some areas in our life that we need to grow in. So responsibility, honesty, and then commitment. Week one, RHC, being committed, staying committed, stay committed, stay committed, stay committed. You know, we say a lot around our church, never, never, never give up. And I believe that. And I believe that in our commitment. We have to stay committed to this process. And week two, we jumped into the process. And okay, I get it, personal development, personal growth, goals, leadership. It's great, matters. Where do I start? So we talked about starting with you and how everything we do is a process. Life is a process. It's a journey. This isn't about getting to a destination. Success is not about a destination. Success is about a journey and learning and growing and achieving all the things that we set in front of us. We have to have an aim. We have to have a target. We have to have something that we can look ahead to. The Bible says, without vision, people perish. So we wanted to ask ourselves, what is inside? What are some things that we need to grow in, and not just change the outward appearance, but to allow some things inside of us to come alive? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, the genesis, the beginning of leadership, it starts with you. But it doesn't start with what, it starts with how to think, how to become, not what to become, but how to become the person that you know you've been called by God, you've been created, specifically placed on this earth to do. So we asked some vital questions last week. We asked, what was our word for the year? You remember that? Remember we're saying, hey, like, what is a direction? For me, it was abundance. Talked a little bit about, you can go back and watch week one and week two on this YouTube channel. We asked, what was the word or phrase for the year? And I asked you specifically, write it down. If you're new, this is week one for you, but it's week 3 for us. I would encourage you, man, write down a word for the year. Write down a phrase for the year. I don't care where you get it. If you're not a Jesus follower, then you know, find it in a self-help book or a magazine, or man. But if you are a Jesus follower, I would encourage you. I believe Jesus will prophetically speak to you. He'll drop a little nugget for you to have. And he's done that for 5 years. And it wasn't some like crazy, like I was alone for 15 days in the wilderness or anything. It was just like, man, I was laying in bed one morning and I got a whisper, or I was watching a TV show and this phrase came up, and And I heard that's your phrase. And so this year for me, it was abundance. And when I heard it, I knew it. And in fact, I'd never read Romans 15:13. And that's where the Lord said Romans 15:13. What I mean by the Lord said, just like a whisper, I just got a nudge that this is for you. And so abundance is my word for this year, and I would encourage you to have one. And then you have to ask this question after you ask yourself what's your word or phrase for the year. You say, okay, then what needs to die in me this year? It's very important. What needs to die in me this year? But you can't just say, hey, like what needs to die? You got to ask yourself, how am I going to kill it? How am I going to kill it? How am I going to kill it? I don't want to spend too much time on this, but how are you going to kill the thing that needs to die in you so that you can reach your phrase or word for the year? And then we said, hey, what needs to be birthed? I know that's a weird word, right? But what needs to come alive? What needs to be conceived this year in me? And how am I going to reveal it? How am I going to conceive it? How is it going to come alive? And what am I going to do to bring it to life? And these are all internal questions that we have to ask ourselves that help us. What does it do? It helps give you an aim. It helps give you direction for where you're going. Nothing's worse than walking into a new season, a new year, a new family, a new job, a new opportunity with no direction. And I honestly would probably go further to say you probably won't have anything new if you have no aim or direction in the first place. You remember what we talked a little bit about last week about pulling that arrow out. And Bo, I clearly, as you can tell, I've never shot one of these in my life, but I've aimed for a few targets and a bullseye that's right out in front. And that's what we're doing. We're trying to create. And so this week 3 is creating the plan. Okay, so why does personal development matter? Got it. Okay, where does it start? With you. This is the questions we're going to ask ourselves. And now it's time to create the plan. What kind of plan? What kind of plan? Now, it's good to have plans. The Bible says that as a man determines a plan, the Lord ordains his steps. But it doesn't just mean we just wait on God to, transport us to wherever we want to be or who we want to become. There's things that we have to do to work on ourselves, to be better people, to be a better father, to be a better leader, to be a better husband, to be a better employee, to start that business, to start that family, to live in abundance, to stay committed, to be honest, to have responsibility. See how it all kind of comes together, right? So I know we talked a little bit about goals, but goals, they are strange, aren't they? It's just like, if you say goals to some people, they're like, you ever said, I'll eat those goals for breakfast. It's like, okay, bro, like chill out a little bit. And then you see other people and they're like, goals, like, I hate that word. I hate goals. Why? I think it's been polluted. I think people have used them to try to gain power or to try to prove that they have something better or more of, and I don't necessarily believe that. I don't really care if you call them goals. I'm not sold on that word. Achievements, accolades, whatever. What I am saying is that you should have a blank, whatever you'd like to fill that word with. I'll call it a goal. A goal. A goal. 2021. Here's a goal. What do you mean by a goal? I mean like something you would like to obtain. Something that you would like to accomplish today. My daughter knew that we were going to do this and we were going to be in our house. And I asked her, I said, do you have any goals for 2021? And she said, yeah, I would like to complete 2nd grade. And I thought, exactly. And then she said, with good grades. And I thought, she's listening to my talk a little bit here, because it's easy for us to write down a goal. For instance, 2021 goal, start a family. Okay. Ready, set, go. Um, you want to go outside? Where? Let me just give you the who, what, when, where, why, how. 2021, launch my personal brand. Okay. When, where, who, how, why. These questions matter. Now, what I'm not trying to do is I'm not trying to make it more complicated for you. I don't want it to feel like this is like, oh my gosh, I don't know these answers. That's fine. You don't have to know all the answers. What I am trying to do is mine for a little bit of information, for a little bit of context, for a little bit of meaning, so that I can try to pull it out of you so that you can understand it even more. So let's just use start my personal brand. Let's say you wanted to be an entrepreneur next year and you were going to start a blank. Okay? So you wrote down tonight, how many should you have? I'm not into trying to prescribe to you have 10 goals or 5, or I think everybody could start with 1. Okay, I think everybody can do 1. And if you're like crushing, do 2 through 3. If you're like really good, get 5. And if you're like kingpin in it, go for 10. It just depends on where your comfortability is. Some people have never even done anything like this before. So I think 1's a good place to start. But you say to yourself, all right, the 1 goal is to start a personal brand. I just had this thought. Maybe one of your goals for someone watching is going to be to actually do this, to actually just do this. And that's going to be huge because you've never done anything like this in your life. So I don't want to fast forward to something that seems so hard to even grab or grasp, excuse me. But I do want to challenge you a little bit. So, okay, so here's our case study, personal brand. And then you have to ask yourself these questions, okay? Is this a SMART goal? Okay? Now, we understand the questions of who, what, when, where, why, how, right? And I think these are very important questions that you should ask yourself. Because it helps you flush out things, it helps you get good ideas, it helps you get good names, it helps you decide how you're going to do it and where you're going to do it. I think ultimately why matters the most. Like knowing the why behind everything you do is very important. But I want to give you an acronym tonight called SMART. Okay, now some of you've probably heard it. Today on our Instagram and my personal Instagram, I just put a little acronym, SMART, and then I left a blank. S blank, M blank, A blank, R blank, T blank, right? SMART. And each letter stands for something. Now I know that word clearly spells smart, but the S doesn't just stand for smart, okay? It actually means something. And this is what I want to share with you. The S means specific, okay? So if you're taking any type of notes, I want to encourage you to write this down. S, specific. Specific. Okay, so let's use this case study, the brand. Okay, specific. You got to get as specific as you possibly can with this brand, with what you're trying to start. We can use the analogy of the family. I would like to start a new family. Okay, you're going to have to be a little bit more specific. Okay, you're going to need to break down like what kind of family are you? You're the male or the female? Are you looking to start a blended family? Are you looking to start from the beginning? You just got to be specific. Why do I have to be specific? Because if you're not specific, then you don't know what you're looking for. You don't know what you're trying to accomplish. So you want to be specific. Specific matters. Specific things specifically. That's what I like to say. Specific things specifically. Say precise things precisely. I know, come on, I'm full of nuggets tonight, right? But this is very important. You have to say things specific. You have to be clear. If it's foggy for you, it's a storm for everybody else. What I mean by that is you want to communicate. You want to communicate these things because that's what helps you get accountability. So you want to say, I want to start a family. And then someone's going to say like, yeah, well, how? And then you're going to be like, well, I don't know. It's in my head. I don't know. No, you got to be specific. So let's go back to the brand, right? Hey, we're going to start a brand. Okay, specific. What kind of brand? What's the name of the brand, and what are you trying to accomplish, and why would you even start it, and where do you hope that it's going to go? I mean, these are the things that you specifically just begin to flesh out. Excuse me, just to what I call mine. You mine for it, and you don't do it so that it gets you frustrated. I'm not trying to make anyone frustrated. And if you get tired and you get frustrated, then just stand up and take a break and come back to it. Sometimes, to be honest with you, I'll be kind of working through a few goals. One of my goals this year is to kind of budget a little bit better. I want to budget, and I need to be very specific on this because I know some of you are going to use it against me. I can tell. But sometimes, because it's so specific, and I'm about to use the M in just a moment, it can just get overwhelming, and numbers and the eyes start crossing, and it just gets crazy, right? And I'm like, okay, I got to stand up. I got to take a break. I'll come back to it. I want to encourage you to do the same thing. This should be fun. This is direction. This is exciting. You're going to be a better person because of this. You're going to do things inside of you that you've been hoping and believing for so long. Specific. So S, specific. M, measurable. You got to know how to measure it out. You got to know how to quantify it. You got to know how to make, how much is it going to cost, and and how long do I have each week? And if I hear this all the time, people say, I want to start a blog. Come on. All right. So this is a great example. Specific. What kind of blog? What's the name of your blog? Your website? What are you going to write about? Is it going to be words? Is it going to be video? Questions you have to ask yourself. Measure. Here's measuring. How many times a week? So goal would be, I'm going to start a blog in 2021. When? How many times? Once a week? Once a day? 5 times a day? Once a month? And then you want to give an overall measure, like in hopes that by the end of 2021, I will have written 37 blogs. Great. And then you now know 52 weeks in a year, I want to write 37. I'm going to keep myself accountable. And that's how you have to do it. And then you say it to people, hey, and they help keep you accountable. Listen, if your friends, not just people, if your friends aren't keeping you accountable to the things that you say you want to do, I really would ask you, I'm sure they're good acquaintances, and they might be friends to go to, a party with or something. But I don't necessarily know if they're people in my life that are going to help me achieve the things that you want to achieve. You got to find those people that even on the days when you don't want to, they kind of still push you along a little bit. They kind of give you the nudge that you need to just, all right, I know I don't really want to write that blog today, but today I'm going to do it. And I'm going to sit down for a few minutes, and I'm going to be specific. And I'm going to write this thing out. And because I know it's helping me measure up to my ultimate outcome, which was 37. Okay. So specific, measurable. Okay. Now this one's huge. Make sure it's A for achievable. A is achievable. Another way, if you were to Google this isn't Brandon's method. This is a method I have used for a long time. I think it's been around for almost 100 years, actually. No, 100 years. I was going to say 20 years. Holy cow, 100. That's quite some time. I was reading today as I was doing a little bit of research for this that I think it started in 1981. So that would be 81. So it'd be 91, 21, 30 years. Okay. Ooh, a little different than 100, right? Achievable. They would say attainable. I don't necessarily care which word you decide to use. I think what I care the most about is don't create something that you know good and well at the beginning There's no way you're going to be able to accomplish another good A word. Accomplish. Okay, so like, I understand you have a good cup of coffee, you're invigorated, heading out of 2020, and you're heading into 2021, and you're excited. Polar Express is coming by. You're believing God to do great things in your life, and you just start saying stuff off the cuff, and then you kind of look back and you say to yourself, like, there's no way I could have achieved that. Like, you gotta like be specific. You gotta be measurable, but you gotta make sure you can achieve it. You gotta make sure you can obtain it. Attainable. So start. It's easier, if you ask me, to start small. I would rather, if I'm starting a blog, a personal brand, a family, those were three kind of things we've used tonight. I would say, like, start with 12. Now I know you can get caught up in the statistics. Well, people say, that if you don't do a blog once a week, then you're going to get lost. Okay, great. But we're not trying to measure up to somebody else's blog statistic that says you should do 14 a week. We're trying to start something inside of us. What is that? To let our yes be yes and to let our no be no. If we say we're going to do something, do it. And if we're not going to do it, then don't do it. I want you to achieve the things that you write down, achieve the things that you're believing for. So start small, scale back a little bit. I'm not telling you to think small. I'm actually telling you to think big. There's a difference in starting small and thinking small. Don't spite small beginnings. Just start and get it comfortable. And as you get comfortable, add more. Once a month, I think I can do once every 3 weeks. I think I can do, once every 2 weeks. Hey, I can do once a week. I mean, I hope you have enough content, and I have fallen short in the whole blog category. I'm going to start a blog, and I do, and then it's like I get tired after 4 weeks. So my own talk has to follow my walk here. So I'm going to hold myself accountable to this too. So specific, measurable, achievable, are realistic. You know what I mean? Like, just make sure it's real, just a real goal. What would be a prime example? I think realistic and maybe achievable probably would go together in some ways, but you say to yourself, like, you're not going to be able to start a family in 2021 and have, 7 kids. I mean, maybe, I don't know, but no, actually, like, come on, be realistic, give yourself a little bit of credit, so that at the end of this, you feel confident. At the end, I want you to feel good. I want you to feel like, man, in 2020, I had a rough year. In 2020, I really had no direction. I was quarantined. I lost my job. I don't know the situations that everybody may be facing. But what I know is that we put the past behind us and we look ahead to the future called 2021. And although we're not sure what it holds as well, we want to have a plan, realistically, something that we can accomplish and look back on this time next year and say, wow, like I said I was going to do this. I had no idea exactly how, but I did it. So specific, measurable, achievable or attainable, realistic, and T is time. Just time sensitive. Put a time on it. Give yourself a deadline. Nothing is worse when you just leave it open. I'll get to it when I get to it. I'll start that blog 2021. Well, that's 365 days. There's 12 months. There's a lot of hours. There's a lot of minutes. Give yourself a start date. Because if you don't hold yourself accountable, which I'll get to in just a second, nobody else will. So you have to give yourself, I'm going to start here. I'm going to do it on this day. I'm going to go after it at this time. I'm going to delegate 2 hours a day. I'm going to wake up every morning and dream about it. Dream board. But I want you to give yourself some time. Every Monday, you get the idea. So specific, measurable, achievable, attainable, realistic, and give yourself a deadline. Time. Put a time on it. Start to finish. Don't leave it open. Now, we're going to close this End Strong, Start Strong at home for the holiday edition, talking about this one word, accountability. Now, when I think of accountability, which is a sensitive topic, but I want to use this word in week 3, and I'm going to talk a little bit about it in week 5 a little bit more. But accountability matters, and I don't want to talk about accountability today from somebody else. I want to talk about accountability for you. You holding yourself accountable. Nothing gives self-confidence more than when you say you're going to do something and you do it. So if you want to know how to release doubt, you want to know how to overcome fear, write something down, be smart, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time sensitive, and do it. Do it. So let's start tonight. I want everyone, whether you're at home, if you're driving, or you're listening, be careful. But when this is over, I want you to take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and I want you to write at least one goal down, one thing, one accomplishment, one objective, something that's inside of you, something you've been thinking about, something you've been dreaming about, something you've been believing for. I want you to write it down, and I want you to spend 5 minutes crafting it. I don't know what it is, but just jot through it, scribble and X out that word. And I know some of you are like, I don't like to do that on one sheet of paper. Listen, I shouldn't have said that. X that, and then craft this nice, good sentence. And then ask yourself, is it smart? And then go through it. Okay, was I specific? Is it measurable? Can I attain this? Is this achievable? Do I feel like this is realistic? And did I give myself time? A start and an end. And then if you did, I want you to take the next 7 days until we meet again. We're going to be back together again next Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. And I want you to come holding yourself accountable. Not me, because I'm not going to be able to see them. You're not going to have to email me and send it in to me. And I'm not a professor. I'm not a teacher. My hopes is that this encourages you enough that you would do this at home. Why? Because you believe in you. Because nobody else around here is going to believe in you unless you believe in you. It's nobody's responsibility in life to believe in you more than you believe in yourself. Now, I get it. I know we've had setbacks. I know we've had failures. I've had my fair share. But you're not held accountable by your own bad decisions. Nobody's over here beating you upside your head, okay? You learn from them and you move on. But you keep believing in you. You keep believing in you, because if you don't believe in you, nobody else will. You hold your chin up and you say to yourself, I'm going to do this. I'm going to let my word be my word. I'm not just going to say it. I'm going to do it. My walk is going to match my talk. So, accountability starts with you. So that's it. That's where we're going to be. If you need to go back and watch week 1, week 2, great. But this is how we're gonna end week 3. Take 5 minutes and hold yourself accountable. Do it. Why? Because it matters. Because it matters. It matters to me, but more importantly, it matters to you. So I hope this has been fun. I know it's been a little different. I've kind of enjoyed it. Seems like it's cozy, nice and cozy. Maybe next week I'll have a little table and I can show you some of my stuff. I don't know. We'll get creative. I might even have like a little, actually, I don't know how I would do that, but what is this? What even was this? I don't know. But Cheers to you. I hope you have a great rest of your week. And of course, we'll see you next time on In Strong, Start Strong. We love you so much. Have a great rest of your week.